your positive imprint. Stories are everywhere. People and their positive action inspire positive achievements. Your PI could mean the world to you. Get ready for your positive imprint.
Hello, this is Catherine, your host of the podcast, Your Positive Imprint, the variety show featuring people all over the world whose positive achievements inspire positive thought and action. Exceptional people rising to the challenge. Music by the talented Chris Knoll. Check out his music and learn more about him at chrisknoll.com. Fabulous music and lots of new music too. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, Your Positive Imprint. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Visit my website, yourpositiveimprint.com, where you can sign up for podcast updates and also follow this podcast. You can also listen and follow my show from your favorite podcast platform, such as Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or of course, listen from your favorite podcast platform. Please hit that subscribe or follow button now. Your Positive Imprint. What's your PI? Well, hello, everybody. We are going to have a quick change in episodes today, and Leif Cox will be next week, part 2, because today we have a time frame with my guest and a vote that is coming up, which she will talk about over in California in United States. So Rayko was born in Tokyo and began writing songs at the age of 4. Her first song was written about her mom, which is just so sweet. Well, since then, she has composed dozens and dozens of songs heard in movies, national and international events, and I cannot name them all, but I do want to mention Until We Meet Again. Oh my gosh. She wrote this song and recorded it in record time using only the instruments that sound like the 1950s Japanese pop. And she did it. And it is used in the popular series The Man in the High Castle. Rayko is incredible, and so is her band, Lolita Dark. Rayko's hypnotic voice transcends across the continents. She collaborates musical compositions as well as videos and movies based on topics, including the environment, my passion, gratitude, joy, suicide prevention, and animal welfare. She was on my show talking about music with the legendary Frank Kilpatrick on episode 147, and I learned so much more about Rayko, including the different passions that she has. Well, today's episode features her work and active positive imprints and voice for the voiceless, the animals. For me, the environment and wildlife, as you know, all animals are just my passion as well. She's actively involved in getting California Assembly Bill 2764 passed, and she's going to talk about that on today's show. Rayko, it is so good to have you back again. That was a long introduction, but you have so much.
Oh, thank you so much. So good to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, Rayko, absolutely. You're working every single day in your life, and the dedication that you have, including animal welfare, which is what we're going to be discussing today.
Yes, absolutely. My life pretty much with other than music, my life evolves around saving animals. You too. I mean, I love all that stuff that you do and all the guests that you have. It's just this is a really the perfect platform to talk about the rights of animals and how we are all equal. And I just do everything in my power to live my life, just to be the voice for the voiceless and powerless. I had a really great role model. My sister was vegan for like 27 years, and she started it a long, long time ago, way before social media exposed all that stuff. And it was so much harder back then. And it's everything is exposed to us now. And so, therefore, I believe there are no excuses unless you are okay with all the cruel torture and heinous crimes that goes on in the even like in slaughterhouses. We can't shut our eyes anymore because everything is out in the open.
And you're right. There's more media coverage. There's, as you were talking earlier, there's so many more articles, so many videos that people take, and the animals don't have a voice.
I
So,
went
how
on
do
the
you bring their
mhm.
voice to the forefront to inspire others to want to save animals?
I recently went on the rally to free 4 elephants from Los Angeles Zoo. My girlfriend and my husband and my drummer came with me, and it was a great peaceful rally in front of the gate of LA Zoo. And hopefully it made some impact. I had a very sad incident where Himeji Zoo in Japan had this elephant called Himeko, who lived a horribly lonely life by herself on the concrete for decades after decades. While we were working and putting the petitions together, she died. And elephants are herd animals, and they are so affectionate, and they're so connected with their, families, and they cannot live alone. And, it just unless they're forced to. Zoo does not make sense because you can't educate your children in zoos. That's not how animals behave or live in the wild. It's just why do you want to look at the caged up, sad, lonely, neglected animals that are not in their habitat? I mean, there is no reasons for zoos or SeaWorld or any of those parks to exist at all. Even like those beagles and those research animals. I mean, give me a break. It's just, I believe in clinical trials with humans. These we are volunteering to with sharing our DNA to help the medical science advance. In 95% of all drug trials on animal fails. So it really makes no sense. So animal testing, zoo animals, and of course, what we're going to talk about today, the so-called livestock. They all need to be liberated and live out their lives as they should with our under our love and care.
So, I want to
Yes.
talk about the elephants. Leif Cox, again, his part one was last week, and then part two will be next week after your episode today. But uh, he also mentioned, and I'm going to, with the elephants, you have never gone into the wild and spent time with the elephants in the wild. You don't observe them, you don't study them, none of that. Yet you still lifted yourself up and said, they need a voice. This cannot be done. And I think that's an important message that you are bringing, and that Leif and other guests and other people around the world bring to the forefront, is that people want to save wildlife even though they don't even live in the country or the continent.
Yeah. I
So,
mean,
yeah.
I'm from a
So,
country
whatever
example. I'm
happened
from
with the elephants?
they're still there.
Oh, so what was there any media coverage to help get the word out?
Yes, there were media, the news channel from England that came and joined us. And our fight is not over yet. We're going to keep on spreading the words and getting the petitions, through Care2 or change.org. So, Lady Freethinker, I love her. She's changing the law and she tries so hard. And conservation is not going to work until you do it forever. Every day there's so much that we need to do, and it just piles up and piles up. There's the elephants that needs to be saved, and beagles and the German shepherds that I just foster this huge German shepherd and pit mix that are just about to be euthanized. And
Oh,
she was a confiscated abandonment case at a shelter. After the owner passed away, she was just left to die without water or food. And I don't know, my emotionality just took took a charge, and I just had to go. And my little Papillon and Chihuahua mix hates it that there's this like giant monster in the house. I named this German Shepherd pit mix Gigi, as in gentle giant.
oh.
So yeah, the humans, we have to be responsible for all of our actions. I mean, if you are going to adopt an animal that is alive, it's not some toys or material things that you get tired of and throw it away. So whenever that happens, people like us have to step up and help as much as we can.
How do we reach people who do practice inhumane practices?
To me, it's atrocious. It is beyond inhumane. It is a crime. So I talk to farm directors. I just recently had a lengthened 2-hour conversation with the owner of a dairy farm in up north in California. It just like you said earlier, we get nowhere without kindness, but the most important thing is education. We try to educate those people as much as we can. I get on the debate between hunters and vegans. I used to think it's hard, but it's becoming easier than before. That I figure out the way to just reach out, kind of like the becoming the mediator. I believe that there are no humane ways to kill anything that's living and breathing. But compared to factory farming and hunting, if you are hunting for an animal and you kill an animal and you use every part of the animal, and there's no way to just go from meat eater to vegan in one day. I believe the transition is very important. Now, I can get a lot of heat from vegans and my fellow vegans and animal rights activists, but I believe that if you really want to get to the core of people who have no sense of understanding and how it's wrong to kill and or eat other flesh, you always want to kind of ease into using transitions. Like Amazon owned supermarket Whole Foods recently dropped 90% of its chicken suppliers. And now they only carry 365 their brand, or Mary's Chicken, which is step 3 and above, most of the, chickens that they have. So transitions, educations and transition, I believe, is the most important thing to get to the heart of every individual without putting them down or being mean to them. So that's how I do it. Peacefully, and get the facts, research, and math has no bias. Numbers don't lie.
Mhm.
So just get the facts right and just talk to them with compassion and be as kind as you can be. I mean, I grew
Yeah.
up in Tokyo, Japan. I mean, Kobe beef was my breakfast, lunch, dinner. When my sister became animal rights activist, I was like, "What is, what are you talking about?" But then I was educated slowly but surely, and here I am, just being an activist. And I cannot thank my sister enough for that. I think that awareness is everything. United States, we whether you like it or not, we influence the world, right? So I believe that this AB 2764 bill that we've been working on, it will stop the factory farms from expanding and being built. I've been working hard at ending our factory farming system with nonprofit organization called Direct Action Everywhere, along with my team members, the actress Alexandra Paul. She's best known as a beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, tall brunette in the Baywatch, the TV show, with
Yes.
and attorney Leslie Shanley. This bill, AB 2764, which is going to be voted on by the California Assembly Agriculture Committee on April 6th in Sacramento. If you are near Sacramento and if you can get to the Capitol, that'd be great. There's going to be a peaceful get together and rally on April 6th in Sacramento, and it will stop all new factory farms from being built in the state and stop the expansion of existing ones if they make over $100,000 a year. And if the bill can get out of committee, it then goes to the whole assembly, and then they vote yes. If they do, it goes to, I believe, California Senate. And if it passes that, then governors can still veto it. So it has some challenges, but the greatest thing is that such a bill is being discussed at all for the
Sure.
farm animals. When we get to the law part of things, then it can be highly more recognized and honored. And, that if this goes through, the whole world is going to be stunned because this is like the first time that people are really paying attention to the livestock, farm animals, where a lot of people think that they're just food animals. Who ever decided what animals to cuddle with and then other animals to eat? I mean, I just don't understand the concept anymore at all.
What kind of uh, whispers are you hearing about the upcoming committee vote on April 6th?
We are just very happy that this bill is even introduced. It's historical. And I have a pretty good feeling that because there's so many people, volunteers working for this bill to pass, I believe that our voices are being heard and people working very hard. And, I'm so glad about the new generation, people who are in the teens and, early 20s. They're very, very much involved and, working hard in their university campus and getting the word out. We go to the postcard signing in the district of where the assembly members are. And we just, go up to people. And then I recently run into this man. He said, I'm a Mexican. His family was very mistreated being in a factory farm workers. He told me about Bracero stories that the Mexican farmers are promised if they work hard in California, they're promised a piece of land in Mexico, and then they're just the whole thing was a lie. And so, to make a long story short, he is very against factory farming system. So he educated me a lot about why there is even more reasons why factory farming business and system should be banned. I was very happy to meet him and then other people who are very proactive and very much supportive of this bill.
Yeah. Well, April 6th, the committee votes on it. I will be tuning in for sure.
You know, a lot of people might think of this, and I agree that systemic environmental racism, right? So a lot of people who are unfortunate that they need to live around the factory farms. And you've seen the lagoons, it's the most disgusting sight. Let's talk about the numbers. So every 800,000 pigs produce the same amount of waste as all the people live in Austin, Texas. So, but Austin, Texas, I mean, people, humans, we have the sewage system, but the pig waste goes to the lagoons and it seeps under the ground and then sometimes it dispersed into the air. And the waste contains more than 150 types of pathogens. It affects all the people around the factory farms and it's in the air. It affects the planet and then the people. It's just it is the real nightmare to the public. So I believe this transition is very important. The factory farming system should just totally be banned because I think that I read within a century since 1910, there are 1 million family farms that had to be shut down because of the factory farming system. The farmers makes 92% less income since 1910 because of the factory farming systems. It doesn't even just affects animals; it affects workers, the everything that the planet, animals, workers, people, everything. It's gonna take a long time. So I believe again, transition is the key, and a completely sustainable farm can thrive. Just so the meat and everything is cheaper, a lot cheaper. Why? Because it's poison. It's junk and they put the labels of happy cows and happy chickens. It's just all lies. We're being deceived by corporate giants. Unless people like us educate the public about it, nobody's going to know about it, and then they'll just keep poisoning themselves and their loved ones and their children. I mean, still the number one cause of death in the US is food diet related death, the diabetes and heart disease.
Going back to your 1910 and the history of family farming, Deck Family Farms they were on my podcast in 2019, right before COVID. And she talked about that very thing. She talked about the history and the number of farmers and the amount of money lost to the factory farms. And she is completely sustainable in a pasture-free and etc. But she also talked about the money involved to be a certified humane source and to pay for that stamp and everything that you have to go through. It costs a lot of money. So like you say, for the farmers that really want to do that, they can't afford to have the inspection for it and then to pay for the stamp that comes with it, along with pasture free. And I learned, the difference with cage free and pasture free and so on and so forth, which is a huge difference. But when I think about my father-in-law who owned a farm, they were completely sustainable. And they were proud farmers and happy farmers, and they lived off of the meat that they raised and the milk that they had and the vegetables. There were 4 boys. Each of them was responsible for an animal or plant or whatever, or both. And my husband was responsible for the sheep. And so there was a lot of respect and dignity coming from that family being a family farm. My father-in-law, I remember him saying to me that he never thought it was fair with the political issues that came about for grazing rights and then the factory farms. And it made it difficult for him to remain. It was hard because the 4 boys left the farm to begin their own lives. But he was dignified, and my husband and all 3 brothers dignified. So we'll see how this bill goes and what happens come April 6th.
If we don't act now, that's why I get so passionate about it. Okay, so we all live in this planet, and it ties to everything. Like, I get into this debate where, I'm Christian, but other Christian people would say, well, God gave us the animals for us to eat and for us to use. To me, God is all about love. And, He gave us the animals to be our companions. And that's how I believe. And I believe that there is, just like I said, I believe that there are no humane ways to kill anything that has beating hearts. But transition is necessary because not everybody think the way I do. There are a lot of people in this world that needs the transitions. And we're talking about the planet health. Global animal agriculture is responsible for 30% of our freshwater footprint and covers nearly 1/2 of Earth's usable ice-free land. And get this, 80% of deforestations in the Amazon serves cattle agriculture.
Right.
And so today, 60% of mammals on Earth are livestock, mostly cattle and pigs, and 70% of all birds on Earth are farmed poultry. Is this sad? It's so sad. And only 4%, I think it was 4 or 5%, 4% of all mammals are wild. 4%.
And that made me think of something that Lisa Highwood said, who's from Africa. Her dad was Tiki Highwood. She opened up, after the death of her father, an animal sanctuary.
Oh.
And she mentioned something in Africa. If something is going to be removed, such as you can't go out and hunt this animal or that animal, which was livelihood for some people, what will you do to replace that income or that food? And so they do come up with ways to produce something. Another gal, I love her name, Mubatu. She's a beekeeper in Africa.
Wow.
And you don't think about a beekeeper saving animals like elephants, right? But she saw that people were killing elephants because the elephants would come in and tackle the garden and eat their gardens. Well, that's their livelihood. So, what can be done instead of saying, stop, you can't touch those elephants, they're protected? Instead of doing that, she came in and said, look, I know a way that will prevent the elephants from coming and eating your garden. We build beehives all around the perimeter of this village, and it will keep the elephants out because they're afraid of bees.
That's perfect.
And it worked. And in return, the people had these beehives producing honey, and Mubatu would purchase the honey from them. So now they have an income. There are ways to transition without losing a livelihood or finances.
So, speaking of workers at factory farms, they very often suffers post-traumatic stress disorder, perpetration-induced traumatic stress, and range of other horrifying syndromes. Unsuspectingly, studies have found that slaughterhouse worker and slaughterhouse work itself is connected to higher incidence of domestic violence and alcohol and drug abuse too. And two, two amputations per week occurs in slaughterhouses throughout the United States. That's why I talked about environmental racism. Those people are treated so poorly, but they have no choice to work at those places where it produces trauma. This lady who used to work at slaughterhouses joined the AB 2764 movement, and she is completely against factory farming system, and it's very strong coming from people who were in it and seen everything. Nightmares after nightmares because not too many people likes to torture and kill huge cows and pigs. They might not speak, but they cry, they screams, and they know that they're going to get killed, and they refuse. And there's another short documentary that I would love you and your audience to watch. It's called Imperial Dust. It's produced by this woman named Raven. I'll get that name. But we'll learn so much facts that how factory farming systems affects slaughterhouse workers, environment, and animals. It's a great short film, and I highly recommend that. But also, I would like to point out the factory farming accounts for 37% of methane emissions, which has more than 20 times the global warming potential of CO2. And greenhouse gas emissions from primary agriculture contribute up to 14% of the total annual global emissions.
Yeah,
From a
monoculture.
global perspective, livestock production is responsible for nearly 80% of all agricultural related emissions. And so, at this current growth rate, animal agriculture will be responsible for 80% of the entire world's carbon budget by 2050.
There's a lot of moral questions, and there's also livelihood and traditional practices. So there has to be a coming together. And my nephew, who is only 11, he chose to be a vegetarian. He's vegetarian quite a while ago. Because he did not want, using Leif Cox's words, he did not want animals to suffer for him. So he made that choice on his own. Kids all around the world were working with their positive imprints to activate them in many different ways. And they'll have moral values as well, which I take to heart myself, because that's part of sustaining our future.
I want to introduce, I love this product. This is so easy. It's a plant-based chicken. It was on Shark Tank. I make a curry chicken with this. It's just like add water and like curry powder, onion powders, or onion chunks or whatever, and it tastes amazing. And again, low calorie, zero cholesterol. plant-based chicken, but sorry, I'm not
Oh, no,
endorsed by
that's
them or anything.
great.
It was just sitting here. Before I became a professional full-time composer, I was a professional personal trainer and meal planner. And so I study so much about nutrition, and I still help my friends with when they want to transition to vegan, or even, when they're still eating fish or chicken. I always give them the meal plan that's slowly, they can transition into being a vegan.
That's something new, again, that I learned about you. Well, you certainly are very passionate, but you're also active in trying to make change and trying to inform people about the compassion regarding animal welfare. So we will definitely look for April 6th for the bill.
Yes,
And uh,
Sacramento.
yeah, like you say, it's making an historic entrance.
Yes, yes, it is. And,
Yeah.
US influenced the world, California influences the US.
Yes,
I hope
yes.
that, this is going to pass and it's going to be a turn of event. I mean, I just want love and peace for everyone. That's the world I want. And the reason why I work so hard with music and everything is because I want to have a animal sanctuary of my own in Oregon one day when I retire.
Oh, and maybe not even when you retire, maybe just a few
Yeah.
years down the road.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Reiko, you are very inspiring
Thank
and
you.
you practice what you preach and you
Thank
are
you.
out there making a difference for our tomorrow. And I really appreciate you and I enjoy your company because we always have so much to talk about and
Yes,
we
I
talk so
know.
much off of the podcast. So
Yeah.
yeah, so is there anything that you wanted to share before you get to your last inspiring words?
So, you know, the livelihood of the workers, factory farms ruins and shuts down small family farms. I mean, that's obvious. And over 1 million family owned farms have shut down already so far since 1910. We were talking about that before. And in 1992, 50% of nation's food was produced by small family farms. Today, they only produce quarter of the nation's food, and the workers rely on off-farm income to earn their living wage. I really wanted to point that out because a lot of people want to support the small family farms. I run into a lot of people that, says, yeah, I want to support the small family farms if they're not completely against eating meat. They are at least against huge corporate giants that's just totally ruin the small businesses. So I wanted to just bring that out and uh, I just wanted to bring the awareness of that. I just really don't see any reasons why factory farm system needs to exist. So excuse me if I am pronouncing her last name wrong, but Lana Regnant, Youth Climate Save, says we need to acknowledge the role of food system in climate change, that our production and consumption of food must be transformed to save the planet. And that is true, so true.
Reiko, I want to bring something up that I don't know if it's ever been told to you, but one of the things that comes out very clearly with the way you speak and what you speak about and how you speak about it is you do not come across as judgmental. And I think that's important for messages to really be taken with consideration.
I thank you. Thank you. I believe that so much that I get into debate all the time.
I'm
My
sure you
husband
do.
my husband belonged to this group called Master Debater or something on Facebook. It's just the funniest name. But I learned that everything can be done with compassion. And I believe everything will be done better, and you can only win with kindness and compassion and love. And if you want to get your point across, it just everything needs to start with love and respect and honor. Everybody has different opinions, I get it, but the reason why most of the people are kept in the dark is because they're not aware. They just never seen anything except the happy cows and chickens on the labels and ads. They don't know what goes on
Right.
in factory farming system. I mean, it is all about education.
Rayko, before we close with your inspiring words, and you've been truly inspiring, are there any updates regarding your music?
Yeah, so I just signed the 5-year album contract with this publishing company called Empath, and they gave me 3 months to actually was so much longer that you are so generous about speaking of the Man in the High Castle. They gave me 3 days to write 3 songs, and two out of 3 songs got accepted and got on the show, so that was great. But this one was a 3 months to produce empowerment songs about empowerment, and I really am proud of this production and the compositions, and they accepted all 4 songs.
Oh,
And
congratulations!
thank you so much. It just
Woo!
happened like a week ago, and so
Oh,
I'm
congrats.
very happy. And there was a song called "I Am Here" that I wrote, and I. It was about all the voiceless animals and women and children who are being trafficked. And um, when you're writing something for publishing company for the songs to be licensed and placed, it cannot be like the lyrics cannot be too on the nose. And so I have to use a lot of imageries and stuff like that. But the whole time I was writing it, I was thinking about the animals and children and women, even men. The men are being trafficked for jobs.
Right.
That happens everywhere too. And I'm just I don't know, I'm just a little, you know, person, but I'm just doing everything I can to bring awareness to the public as much as I can through my music and my work for with passion.
You are a compassionate voice, and I'm so happy
Thank
to
you.
have you on the show again and to call you my friend. I'm so happy to call you my
Yes.
friend. And
Yes. Thank
yeah,
you.
oh, absolutely. I love my conversations with you. Before we close, you can find Rayko on Instagram at Lolita Dark Music. LolitaDarkMusic. Yeah, Rayko, thank you.
Thank
And so your
you.
last inspiring words.
Okay, so um this is a totally, moment of my goofiness. I used to love the show called A Vampire Diary. I mean, and then I love the main actor Paul Wesley. And I did not know that he is a vegan and he has been an animal rights activist for a long time. And I just want to share what he said. That is really, really inspiring to me. And I believe that it will inspire. So Paul Wesley says in the end of the video that he made for Farm Sanctuary, today's industrial food system hides the lives in suffering farmed animals. It teaches people that some animals are to be eaten and others are to be loved. It creates a worldview that says the exploitation of farmed animals is necessary to nourish people. It reinforces hierarchy that separate people from other animals and from each other. The truth that all animals are feeling and thinking being worthy of our love must replace the lies that draw the lines between humans and other animals. For people, animals, and planet, now is the time to end factory farming and replace our factory farm food system. We must make a choice to nourish everyone at no one's expense. We can unite to build a just and compassionate food system for people, other animals, and our shared environment. We can replace exploitation with sanctuary.
Rayko, thank you for sharing your positive imprints here on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very dignified. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. Your positive imprint. What's your PI?